Techno update. Subscribe now.
The phone ships with all the usual stuff, and some extras include a soft TPU case and a screen protector. When it comes to the design, the phone is well built as it uses a metal frame along with metal buttons in the construction. However, I found that there is a slight gap between a plastic back cover and a frame, which reminds me that this is a cheap phone after all. A 5.5-inch 720p display does the job for a super cheap phone like this, but it has a somewhat greenish tint. Unfortunately, there is no LED notification light and no capacitive keys, but there is LED flash for night selfies. As for camera, we have just an 8-megapixel Sony sensor on the back and 2-megapixel sensor on the front. Both cameras are interpolated to 13 megapixels and 5 megapixels respectively. The loudspeaker is surprisingly good for such a cheap phone. In the hardware department, we are looking at a good old MTK6580 chipset, which is coupled with just 8GB of expandable storage and just 1GB of RAM. For the price of about $70, I would love to see at least 16GB of storage and at least 2GB of RAM. Gaming performance is possible if you play 3D games on medium graphics only, but this phone is not designed for hardcore gamers after all. The Android 7 based user interface is one of the most favorite features of this phone, since you get a pretty much stock Android experience with just a few added features. As usual to cheap phones, gesture and motion controls work quite slowly and it may become annoying. In general, the UI performance is decent, but you should expect some random stutter here and there, especially if you install a lot of apps like I did. When it comes to the image quality, you should never expect any spectacular results from any cheap device. This phone is no exception. Well, it's possible to capture an okay looking image in good lighting, but nothing more. More often than not, you'll get a bad looking photo with both main and front firing camera. Same can be said about the video quality, just like on any other super cheap device. When it comes to connectivity, the call quality is above average, the Wi-Fi works fine, and the GPS is usable for navigation, although it's not the most accurate out there. The 2800 mAh battery performs quite well considering its size, but you should not expect any stellar results. I was able to achieve just about 4.5 or maybe 5 hours of screen on time, but your mileage may vary depending on the usage. The Vkworld S3 could have been a decent phone for the price of about $70, as it offers quite a few features. However, since you get only 8GB of internal storage and just 1GB of RAM, I believe that this phone should cost just about $50. If you can get this phone for this amount of money, the Vkworld S3 would be a decent super cheap smartphone option.